Grief, grief, and more grief. Man, when does it ever end? It could be a long time, short time. It could be intense, can come and go, ebb and flow, waves. You could be doing something as simple as changing the channel. And there it is again. Grief. How great is it really? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Dr. Venessa Ellen, and this is Real Life Convictions. We've been going through a series on grief, and I think this is our last episode on grief. However, we're going to continue the conversation for the rest of the year, but we're going to do it in conversation format. So join us, would you? We're going to be talking to a lot of different women about their experience with grief, but more so how God got them through it. I wrote a book on it. It's going to be coming to a bookstore near you real soon. But I just thought for this episode, I'd talk to you a little bit about the reality that God is greater than your grief. He is so much greater than your grief. I want to take you back to a moment, and hopefully you'll get the book and you'll see I kind of write through my experiences. But I remember the day we went to go finalize the arrangements for my mother at the funeral home. We'd gotten through all the paperwork and everything, and he came down to choosing a casket. And I can remember this gentleman said to myself, my daughter, my husband, my dad, okay, well, let's pick out a casket. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, this is a simple experience. Let's do this and let's get it over with. And he said, well, let's go to the casket room. I thought, the what? There's a whole room full of caskets? It was the most interesting moment of my life. I can remember standing in this room and the man was talking and he was like, we have this lovely blue one and we have this lovely pink one. And all I heard was like the Peanuts gang, womp, 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 womp. But in my head, the grief was so great. All I could think is, you want me to select a box to put my mother in. All the whole time I kept thinking, is this man still talking to me about a box to put my mother in? You see, grief can be great, but God is greater than your grief. I want to just take you to a scripture that really helped me. It is Psalm 121, verses 1 through 3. And it says, I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where shall my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip, my sister. It says, he will not allow your foot to slip. He who keeps you will not slumber. If someone had told me that my grief was going to take my breath away or saturate my eyes with tears for many, many months or stop me in my tracks and keep me from doing little things like making a PBJ for my grandchildren, I would have said, no, many people have died. We've been in ministry 30 years and we've done a lot of funerals, but this one did. But every moment and every activity of your life reminds you of this loved one, especially if it was a close relationship. There wasn't anything that I could do that didn't remind me of my mother. But I had to take that and turn that around because God says he'll be a father to the fatherless and he'll be a mother to the motherless. I had to turn that around to say, I need to be reminded of God's grace on my life in this moment. And then I started thinking about grieving because I remember going to a funeral one time and I remember this preacher saying to everyone who was there, now we're going to stop all this crying because this is a homegoing celebration. So we're not going to do all that crying. But I just want you to know, my sister, that we do have an example in the scripture of lamenting. This is a season of great sorrow. You can lament your sorrow unto the Lord. He understands. He is there with you and he is there for you. I looked up a quote about grieving for a Christian, and this is what it says. And the guy's name is 𝗦𝗽𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Christian, it really is about you. We are not grieving because someone is pain-free in heaven with the Lord. That's the cause for celebration. We are not grieving the condition of the Christian loved one who is deceased. For the Christian, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. There is nothing grave in that. No, we are grieving for our own sense of loss, our own sorrow over the sudden departure, our own feelings of being alone. Grief is the self's shock over what has happened to itself. And the shock is both physical and emotional. So yes, my sister, grief, it is great. It can be intense and it can be with you for a while. But what you need to take away from this is that God is greater than your grief. I'm reminded of Job's experience. Remember, Job went through a lot of loss. He went through a lot of suffering, but God was there and God was with him. He chose to conclude at the end of the journey, just as you and I should choose to conclude, God is greater than our grief. So, my sister, I will pray for you. You pray for me. And remember, this whole year, we're going to be talking about grief. I would encourage you to find someone to talk to. If you think that you need to go to your pastor, do that, or maybe go to your women's ministry director, or find a good friend that you can just cry on her shoulder. It is going to be with you for a while, probably. Some of us bounce back faster than the others. It's different from everyone. Don't try to make your experience like the person sitting next to you. It's going to be different. But know this and be confident in God is a God of love. He's with you. He's sovereign. He never sleeps. He never slumbers. He knows your pain. He's there. And he loves you. And you know what? He's all powerful. So he's got everything under control. He either causes or allows situations in our life. We can trust him. He is a stable God. We can trust him. Trust in the Lord, my sister. Lean in on him deeply. Trust him and know that he's with you. I'll be praying for you. You pray for me. And I'll see you the next time in our conversation when we talk some more about grief. Now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and share this with someone. Hopefully it can encourage them. I want to comfort you with what I myself have been comforted with. Take care and see you soon.